Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Hi, hello, and welcome. My name is Kintinue, and welcome to the My Time at Sandrock Logan's Update live stream event. I'm super excited to get to chat with the from the team, who you may know if you've been checking out the YouTube channel. So make sure you're doing that. There is a brand new YouTube channel out there for the My Time series, and we'll have more information about that later. But Orlando, welcome.
Hello.
Hi, thanks for joining us.
No problem at all. It's an absolute pleasure.
I am super excited to get to hang out with you guys and talk about this new update. I am someone who was in love with My Time at Portia and have been playing My Time at Sandrock, so these updates are really exciting, and I know that a lot of people in the community are thrilled to learn more about Logan.
Yeah.
So before we get into that, I would like, if you don't mind, to tell everyone a little bit about yourself, what you like to do with the game, like what you work on in the game, and who your favorite character is currently.
Right, so I'm Orlando. I'm one of the writers in My Time at Sandrock. So at Sandrock, we all kind of dabble in everything. So we do some story, we do some character writing, some character missions. It's kind of a joint effort for everything. I've been with the team for a year now, so I've been, quite involved in the project, and that's really enjoyable. I'll say my favorite characters right now. I'm really enjoying Chi. And I really love Justice as well. I think he's just fantastic soul, and he's really great fun to write for as well. I've been in China for 4 years now, and I've been working up there, as I said, for about a year. Just really enjoy working on the team and working on the game.
That's so awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. I know that personally, I was really excited when I saw the Kickstarter. I'm very excited to see the progress and how the game's been growing. So this is fabulous. It's that you guys are willing to show, and there's a lot of really great secrets that we're going to be displaying, and a lot of unseen stuff and early tidbits of things. So I'm super stoked to get into this.
Yeah, it'll be really fun. I think we've got a nice selection of stuff to show you today. We're going to try and tease it nicely so that people can get a good overview of what's to come without, having their game spoiled for them. So we're going to tread a fine line here.
Fabulous, fabulous. So can you tell me a little bit about the designs in this new content update? What are some of the things that we should be looking for just briefly before we dive into some of the videos?
So in this update, we're going to stuff that could really well propel the story forward. We're going to have great big bit of story, and we're also going to have a really fun side content that's not really side content, but like runs parallel to the main plot. And that's going to be introduced.
Wonderful. And I've also heard that we might get to talk a little bit about the multiplayer side of things. Is that correct?
Yeah, we got a little new tidbit of information for the multiplayer to introduce as well, which is going to be fun. The multiplayer is a really fun aspect of the game as well.
Yeah, I know that people are thrilled with the multiplayer side, so I myself am very excited about it, and I think that the community is going to be super stoked for it. Before we go any further, do you... So, in case you did not know, we are doing some giveaways. Make sure you leave a comment in the chat with the hashtag secret behind the mask, and the lucky winners will be selected after the stream ends. And the prizes that we will be giving out are Sandrock. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you do the hashtag behind the mask. And if you're already here, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Orlando posted a really, really informative video recently on how to woo Fang, which made me so happy because he's the character I wanted to be involved with. So thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. I know that was probably one of our most appreciated videos in the community. I know Fang is probably our most popular love interest out of all the men. I can say that with some confidence.
Yeah, I was reading through that a lot of the community was excited about Fang, but they're also very excited to find out about Logan and whether or not that's going to...
I don't have any comment on that.
So make sure that you guys subscribe to the channel. And yeah, so really quick, let's go ahead and drop the...
So
I'm so sorry.
that's all right. Well, so basically, what we've got in this new update is, as I said before, we've got a whole new dungeon, which is going to introduce a really fun plot line into it that we're going to go over in a bit more detail. I really like this part of the story. I think it's going to be really nice to finally kind of get going into the storyline. And I think a lot of people are going to really enjoy what we've got going. It's funny, it's interesting, you get to learn a little bit more context about what's going on. And I just think that's a really cool way to end out 2022. So on that note, just want to mention this is going to be the last major update for 2022. And it's going to drop later today. And so we just need to make sure that you're aware, last content update, major content update of 2022, but we will have more coming next year. We're going to be pushing a lot more to come.
That's so exciting. So now do we get to see the sneak peek of the new gameplay? Is that something we get to see now? Yay!
So here we go. We've got Logan, Hiram, and Andy.
I love this.
Yeah. That's one of my favourite updates that we did, was changing his horse to a goat. I think it's brilliant. Yeah, great as well. It's a really good summary of everything that we've kind of like got so far on Logan and to where we're going to go, which is really fun.
Very excited. It's a lot of content that I know that everybody is pumped for, and it's going to be great. It's going to be so great.
Yeah.
So tell me... Oh, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say it's going to be great.
Okay, so what is something, with that having been shown, just that little tiny tidbit, what is something that you want the community to take away just from that tiny tidbit before we go any further?
What I want people to take from this is that we don't want to... We haven't thought about these characters as just being simple and one-dimensional, right? So a big thing is that up comes in this update is going to really engage the players, and they're going to be able to learn a bit more about the character that is the antagonist in our story, right? So Logan is a really interesting character, and we hope that up until this point, as you can see in the trailer, we've had a lot of incidents which kind of have got questions being asked about who he is. And now we're going to be able to learn that little bit more about him. It's going to be super fun.
Yeah. I know that you guys have done a great job of making so much content with this, including Logan's story. And nothing about Logan feels like just cut and dry. So I think that that's fabulous. You guys have done awesome with that.
Thank you.
Give yourself a pat on the back.
Thank you very much.
And now we do have another video that we're going to show really quickly, and we're going to chat about it. Now, is this the mole dungeon that we're getting ready to look at?
Yeah, so this is a new dungeon that we've got. This is going to be part of the content that we got going on. I said about parallel storylines. So as you can see, Bronco is back in action, and he wants to give you... He has a new exciting lead to take you to Logan. So this is going to enter into something that's actually been mentioned earlier. So this is about the Rat Queen. So the Rat Queen that we saw in the previous update is back again. And she is going to have a whole new dungeon where we are going to have full of intrigue, and we're going to find out some more information. So we're going to run through this dungeon now, as you can see, and just bear in mind that it's not going to be quite as easy as they're doing in this video. They're actually level 100, so most players are probably not going to be level 100 by this point. And it's a whole interesting story that is its own self-contained story, as well as being tied into the main plot. I'm not going to say anything more about the main plot part of it yet, but happy to talk about the moles a bit more.
Yeah, that would be great. I would love to hear about the moles. Tell us about the moles. Tell us like what your favorite part of them has been, like just in general. Tell us about the moles.
So the moles is basically it's a conflict of an age-old story known as Snow White and the Seven Dwarves is part of it. But we're also going through, it's a fight between the Rat Queen and the Rat Prince between them. So this is just a really fun adventure that is kind of wacky, but really fun, really funny. A lot of it's just got one-liners, punchlines. It's great. It's really fun with the, I keep saying fun, but that's what it is. So yeah, is there anything you'd like to know? We can watch through the video and we can just, if you've got any thoughts about it, any questions, I'm always happy to answer anything you'd want.
I personally am thrilled with all of the different diverse. Like there's a lot of different elements in this, and I like the changes in the dungeons that have happened. I do really truly appreciate that the enemies in these dungeons look so different and come from different places. They're not all just one type.
That is really cool about Sandrock so far. That as a writer, I'm not the one doing the character designs and the enemy designs themselves, but it's really cool to see how we've got some enemies that are returning from Portia. So like, why are these Portian enemies in Sandrock? And we sometimes try and explain that depending on the enemy and depending on whether it needs the further context. And our dungeon designs, honestly, are just, the team over at the design team are just doing such a fantastic job creating these interesting and in-depth dungeons now, these new areas. And they bring like the stories to life. When you're writing the story and then you say, we write it as this happens, this happens, this happens. And then when you see it come to life in a dungeon and with the team pulling together and kind of taking what you wrote and turn it into this big adventure, it's just fantastic. I think they're doing a brilliant job with it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it keeps it fresh and new, and I do love the crossover between the two. I know that we had kind of like briefly touched on that before. As I mentioned, I'm a huge Portia fan, and I think we'll show the photo of it later, but there's some really cool comparisons between some art from Portia versus some art from Sandrock of posters of Logan, which we'll get into.
Yeah.
But I love that. But as far as the dungeon goes, like I said, I like the fact that there's layers. I like the fact that it ties in with the story so well, and it's not just go in here, mine, go out, go in here, mine.
So that's one thing that is important for us is to make the separation between, hazardous ruins and abandoned ruins, right? So not everything you're going to be doing is mining, right? When you're going into a dungeon, you're not just going to go through empty rooms, mining, which that's fantastic. And we still, even for the abandoned ruins, want diversity and, interesting visual aspects. But we also have the hazardous ruins and the dungeons themselves in story time, which are engaging, propel the plot, and just just tell the story in a really visual way. So these bandy rats that you're fighting at the moment, these are the Rat Queen's minions. So you're going through them at the moment to try and get through. You're following Bronco's lead, and now we've run into one of the fun characters in this update, actually. The mirror.
Oh yeah, we briefly talked about that. It's so cool.
So yeah, we've got this is part of the new update in the new mole dungeon, is the magic mirror. As I mentioned, it was a spin on Snow White. So we've got the magic mirror, who is talking about the fairest of them all being between the Rat Princess or the Rat Queen. And so we've got kind of a retelling of the classic story in this new dungeon, which is great fun. As you can see, again, level 100 notice. They beat the mirror pretty quick. It won't be quite as quick as that in the actual game when you're playing it yourself.
I love the mirror's design. I think it's great. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, this is so neat. And then once you explained it, I was like, this is fabulous.
Yeah, it's really fun. Sorry?
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, that was all I was saying.
What did you find when taking this and, helping write this whole magic mirror side of it, what has been your favorite part that you're able to speak about in regards to like the magic mirror situation in general?
So I think the fun thing about it is that the mirror is just an interesting, funny character. And then you've got all of the different ones around it. So, for example, this character as well, Ged. Ged is a fantastic, funny character that pushes the plot along. I think one of the most important things about the Mole Dungeon that's so fun about it is that it doesn't take itself too seriously, right? There's times where the story deserves, but then when it's times for really fun missions, we try and get them just being fun and try and understand the balance of, where we just want to do a fun mission that propels the plot and how we strike the balance between that. I think we've done pretty well in this new update with this dungeon. I think it's a really fun journey that I think people are really going to enjoy the plot for.
That's something I've always appreciated with the games too, is that there is the ability to have so much like, just this is fine, this is fun, we just do this, and then there is some like really heavy stuff. Well, not heavy, but you know what I mean, like more detailed information that we need to look at. But also here's this, and you do have the ability to kind of just do as you please and then progress as you want. So I think that's fabulous.
Yeah, that's the thing that's so important, like especially when we're writing the character missions as well, is kind of striking that balance between how can we make the character feel real and how can we make the character feel engaging, but also, be able to provide a fun adventure as well.
Right. I'm loving these puzzles. I know that they're great because jump puzzles in general I'm terrible at, but like I love watching them and I like seeing other people do them because I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Cool. But I do appreciate that you added that. That's another element that I feel like was heavier.
Yeah, it's much more than in Portia. One of the things that we've got in these dungeons is, as you said, we've got loads more jump puzzles, we've got loads more platforming in general, and like environmental engagement as well. I think the thing that's good about it, as you saw just then, and I think was a really important moment, is failure is not devastating, right? If you fall off and you miss a jump, you get there just before the jump again. We don't want to punish players but we want to make something that's an engaging gameplay. It's not just a walk through a dungeon. As you can see there, right? There's an interaction with the environment
fabulous.
to drop the rock through the floor. So we've got these kind of interactions that, just bring the dungeon to life a bit more. Show that this is an area where people are in and, want to stop you getting it.
Right. So I have a question, just something that came into mind. When you are doing this particular mole dungeon, it looks like Justice is following behind you. So I'm assuming that we'll have other NPCs with us when we go through the mole dungeon?
Yeah, that's right. So you're going to have... You'll be able to hear quips from them the whole time, and they're involved in this whole storyline. It's not just you alone doing it.
That's great. And then do they help in the fights, or are they more of like, okay, cool.
They help in all the fights as well. I can't vouch for how useful Bronco is in battle, but Justice and Unsure definitely.
He looks like a strong, strapping lad that can carry us through. In the character designs, like I think that it's fabulous, and I'm loving Bronco so much.
He's a funny character.
He's adorable.
Yeah.
Adorable. Now, do you have, while this is playing, do you feel that this particular mole dungeon is your favorite of the dungeons, or how do you feel about maybe something else we'll be seeing later in comparison? I actually
think this mole dungeon is really interesting. For the dungeons we have in the game so far, I think this is one of the best ones. I really like the interactivity. I like the layers. I like how everything comes together. I think this is a really fun one. And I think people are going to really enjoy this one. Right, so now that we've finished with the mole dungeon itself, anything you want to ask?
I just, honestly, I think that it's going to... Rewind. I have a ton of questions, but I do want to ask about this, if this is being displayed yet. Can we talk about the Rat Princess?
Yeah, we can indeed. So this is the Rat Princess herself. This is the person who, in the mole dungeon, you're going to be helping against the Rat Queen. As you can see, she's got a poster of Logan on her wall, and she may or may not have some sort of interest in him. I'm not going to say anything particularly more than that. It's a really fun little piece of scenes in the game itself, so I don't want to spoil too much, but it's really good fun. The Rat Princess is a fun character, and it's a whole really fun like side diversion in the game.
I love her. She's so cute.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see more. I hope that I'm not gonna be disappointed by having so much love in her, but like she's absolutely adorable. I love her costume. I love her proportions. Like she's fabulous, and I love the Logan poster.
Yeah,
it's wonderful.
She's really good fun. Like I think the way that it's for everyone when it goes live.
Yeah. I mean, you can't not love her. Let's be honest.
No, and she's going to tie in a little bit more as well. It's not going to be the last you see of her after this.
So now there's another dungeon that we're going to get to take a look at today as well, correct?
Yes, so this one is, as you can see from the update, this is going to be where we're learning a bit more about Logan, right? So we've got another dungeon, and I'm not going to tell you much context around it because I want players to find that out for themselves. But this is a little taste of where Logan spends his time. Yeah, so where he is and how he's concealing himself so well. We're not going to give you too much information about it though, so we're just going to give a quick video to show the kinds of layout it is, what things you might expect to see. As you can see,
it's so pretty.
They've done a really good job with this. Honestly, the design team and the level creation teams are just doing such a fantastic job. So I think this is really interesting. So I remember before the video when we were talking, you were asking about the design of this dungeon because it's so different, it's so interesting. I think one of the things that's so important for this is when you see it, it's a real big taste of like what Sandrock used to be before the Day of Calamity, right? So one of the things that's so interesting about the world, in my opinion, one of the things that really drew me to work on the game as well is that it's a post-apocalyptic world. So it's easy to forget that when you're setting up your farm, but Sandrock is built on a metropolis, right? It's one of the unique places in the Free Cities because it's actually built on a metropolis itself. So everything under it has these really wild things that you can find and see. As you can see, we're in a theme park of some sort. Sorry?
Oh no, sorry. I did not mean to interrupt.
No, it's fine. I finished.
Because we had been talking about this and briefly touched on it. Because I thought that was really cool information, considering how we do have places like that in the US where cities have been built on top of cities that you can actually go tour. So that whole concept in and of itself is fascinating, and I love that it was put into the game. And I love the colors in this because a lot of the dungeons, they all have their like theme, and they all have very particular colors. You want to put your character in the little rocket cars and go for a ride and try not to fall off. Yeah, exactly. It's great. I think it gives you a taste that things in Sandrock aren't just monotonous, right? It's not just one apartment block. Like so we saw in the Eufaula Salvage Company. A nutcracker.
Yeah, they're the little bomb enemies. They'll slow you down if they... oh, you mean the actual nutcracker itself? Yeah. I missed that one.
Sorry.
Basically, so in Eufaula Salvage, for example, we see the office blocks. And so these were, actual old world office blocks, and you're going down and you're exploring them and you're mining through it. But we're kind of starting to see, which is really great, some of the more diversity about what, was in this metropolis of the old world that Sandrock is built on. So we have this idea that we refer to regularly in Sandrock of the Relic Rush, right? the Sandrock in its heyday was somewhere that people would flock to so that they could dig and find relics from underground. And the reason is because Sandrock is built on this old world metropolis, and it's a huge, interesting place where you can find all sorts of things. So we wanted to reflect that in the dungeon design, and I think, you know, our design team has done an absolutely stellar job of doing that.
Oh yeah, absolutely, because it's definitely very imaginative. It's definitely something you would picture if you were, at least in my dream world, with blocks, because I love blocks and I love building. So, I mean, this is like, I almost feel like this was built for a very particular group, and I love it so much. But it's beautiful. And again, it sticks with Sandrock's style. It sticks with the My Time style, but it does open up.
It's a lot more platforming than we're used to in Porsche, for example. And I think it's just really good fun. And I think what's important as well is the platforming is interesting, engaging, but not harsh, right? It's not fail safes. It's not, you know, go back to the beginning of the dungeon and try again. It's not lose 10 minutes of progress because you made a wrong jump. It's, oh, I fell off, but oh, look what's behind this corner instead. So you kind of have emergent, interesting ways to explore the dungeon, which I think is really important. You know, I think it's a really good way of creating this interesting world. And yeah, I can't praise the level design enough of these dungeons, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, because it definitely opens it up too for a lot of different players, and it creates a larger ability for the player base, and being more forgiving when it comes to jump puzzles is fabulous, because this, I personally, like I said, I struggle with jump puzzles, but I'm very excited for this because we have experienced some already. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Now, I do have a question about this one in particular. I believe there's a marker. There is a marker that's indicating where we're headed. So does it have a distance on it? Is that something that we'll have later, or is it specifically just a marker indicating the location that we need to head toward?
We will have guidance to make sure that no one's going to be running around in circles aimlessly.
You say that, but I get lost going from the living room to the kitchen. So from there, we do have I love the pedestals and the jumping pedestals. It's great. Now,
just anything that brings you in. Tell us
one other. I know that we're going to learn more about this area later on, and there's a lot that you can't share at the moment. What is, without telling us something that you can't, what is something that the players should be looking forward to in regards to that particular dungeon when the release happens, when the new patch happens?
So at the end of that dungeon, you're going to be able to come face to face with the man behind the mask. I think it's going to be really good. I think we've got a really good introduction scene for it. We've got a really great I think the whole thing is just set up really well. I think people are going to really enjoy what we've got in store for them. He's an interesting character, and after that dungeon, I think luckily the editing went quite well. We didn't show too much. We showed just the right amount. Exactly where we faded black at the end. That's where you're going to start the new chapter in Sandrock.
And I think this is a really big update for Sandrock. Like, this is huge. We've been curious about Logan this whole time, and this is a really
22 with a bang. We really wanted to kind of get a lot of information in there. We wanted to get a lot of as the last major content update of the year, we want to make sure that players aren't leaving disappointed, right? It's tricky with early access because you need to be able to provide interesting content for people, right? And you need to be able to do it regularly. And while we do want to spend time and make the content really good, we also need to make sure that we're giving interesting, good content to players to show that we care and that we are actively working on the game. So I think we've done a really good job with this update, particularly because we're giving the right amount of information. Not just us and the writing team, all the teams have worked super hard to just get this one.
It's a lot of love and dedication that's pumped into this game. and it's just wonderful. And as you mentioned, you guys keeping on top of it, and early access is very challenging for a lot of individuals. I think you guys have done a fabulous job of staying on top of it, keeping the community in the loop, and creating these great moments that we get to experience. So I, for one, appreciate that and say thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Now, I do know also one of the things that a lot of people are excited about that we briefly talked about towards the beginning would be the multiplayer.
Yeah. So we do have a little bit more information about the multiplayer, about the way can we get the video up and then we can have a look at it. Right, so we've got a new introduction to tie it all in together. We'll have a quick look at the video and then I'll give you a bit more context around it too. Because I haven't seen this video many times.
Also, I love you, by the way, too. So
he's a great character. He's so much fun. He can be tricky to write though. But
I could see that.
Yeah. The amount of research that goes into some of his ideas. Like, we try and make it as grounded as possible. So when he's talking about something scientific, often we, in the metaverse, a chi production. So this is the idea that basically the way we're tying this in now, this was a tricky thing before. So the multiplayer of Sandrock is separate, right? In other games, they align the single player and the multiplayer. We didn't want to do that because in many ways, the story of Sandrock is first and foremost a single player experience, right? So making it multiplayer wasn't suited for the kind of story that we wanted to tell. But we also know that lots of people want to experience the gameplay and the story and the flow of My Time series in multiplayer. So we set it in the past, right? It's back in the day, Mayor Lou is in charge. It's during the height of Sandrock. We've got a younger, more handsome, we've got all really interesting things. Some of the characters that are talked about are in the game. We also see younger versions of some of the characters. But also, we can't think of it as the history of Sandrock, because it's not that. It's a condensed version of a kind of alternate timeline. So this is important because the events of the multiplayer doesn't affect we introduce them in single player. So
I love that.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and we've got a whole story for multiplayer too. But we're not abandoning either side, right? So we're not, for example, abandoning single player so that we can work on multiplayer. It's not that at all. It's two kind of separate entities that work together and have an interesting experience that tie in. But one of the problems was, we want the characters to return again. But they weren't there 50 years ago. So the way we've aligned this now is the Netaverse. So Chi has created a simulation, and that is the multiplayer experience. He's finally cracked it, and it's going to be great. It's going to be really great.
I play multiplayer in any of these types of games. It always is kind of this weird situation where I don't want to progress the story with my friends and then not be able to play it single player. So I love that it's almost like two different stories in one. Really quickly, I just want to remind everyone to go ahead and make sure that if you're watching this live stream, to subscribe. And when you do, keep in mind that we are doing a giveaway. The giveaways today are going to be 5 $10 Steam gift cards. Also 5 original soundtrack keys. So there's going to be a total of 10 winners. You do need to make sure that you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. Leave in chat the comment #SecretBehindTheMask, and we will be posting the winners on the YouTube community post after the live stream has ended. And those winners will be selected randomly, and rewards will be given out to the winners. So make sure you're sub to the channel.
Yep, subscribe, and then you can see more of this face.
Yeah. And really quickly, just because I don't believe I mentioned it, it is youtube.com/@mytime
At Sandrock.
At Sandrock? No, at Sandrock. Yes. Sorry. So make sure that you are subscribed there. Make sure that you hit the notification bell as well. And like I said, there's a lot of great content outside of just these live streams. Information on how to date Fang. And there's so much really cool content I was checking out earlier. So fabulous.
Yeah, I hope you enjoy. It would really help us out for people to like and subscribe on the channel. We want to push it. We want as many people to enjoy this game as possible.
I think that's great. And I think that's a great way to do it. Are there other locations where people you are aware of?
So we have quite an active Reddit community. If you go on Reddit and there's My Time at Portia and My Time at Sandrock, you can also go on the Discord. Our Discord is really active, the Pathia Discord. That's all linked on the YouTube channel and the Reddit pages as well. I've got a little bit more to show you about the Logan as well.
Yeah, please do.
So we've got Logan's house to show you now as well, which most of our players have already seen this. If you've played the early access, this has been in it quite early. When you go into Logan's old house with Elsie and Mia. It's mainly as a reminder, just to show kind of like, just to remind you all about the context of who this character is and give us some backstory. It's really fun the way we've built this up. I think so far players seem to have really engaged in how we've built the story together, which is just feels fantastic.
I love the detective element of it.
Yeah.
I really of bringing the player back to remembering that he did exist before. Yeah. He's not just some random outsider that's flying around.
That's exactly it. I think that's what is so important about the Logan character is like, it would be really easy to just make him as this bandit king and to make him completely separate from the town. But we didn't want to do that. It was more interesting to, think about, okay, Logan has been a part of the town and he left. All right, then who knows him? What is the backstory between them? What are his relations? Who knew his father? Who knew Haru? All of these kind of elements needed to tie together to create the story that we try and really make an engaging story that everyone could enjoy. And I hope that we've done that. This house investigation was really fun because you kind of get to learn these little pieces about it and start to find out more information, and then you go and quiz the town, and it's great fun. The new players, they'll be able to go onto this bit and find out, what all the fuss is about.
Wonderful. I like engaging with the townsfolk as well because it's really neat. Again, it gives it more life and character and again makes him feel part of the community. So
that was an important part about it. Haru and Logan were both important people in Sandrock. They'd grown up in Sandrock, and it makes why Logan left and what the story between. Why everyone is so shocked that he left is because he was so important, right? He wasn't that kind of guy. So what happened? And that's the big question about, the whole story. What happened with Logan? And we think that, it's going to be a fantastic story that people really enjoy. Even Jasmine, as we can see here, Jasmine liked Logan and Haru. And that's important. The investigation mechanics is really cool because there was the inspection in Portia as well, but we really tried to push it to the next level in Sandrock and make it an engaging mechanic in the game itself, which I think is really fun.
Yeah, I agree.
So we've got the Logan poster as well. I want to.
Yes, we briefly touched on that. I love the Logan poster.
So we've got two versions of the Logan poster, right? The one you see around in town that we saw at the beginning of the trailer, and then we got the one in Portia. So
I feel attacked. This is what I look like in the morning. Please continue.
I think we all do, yeah. So I think this is something that's really fun about tying in the universes together, right? They are all in the same world. There are parts that we've had already in the updates as well that tie the games together. Because bear in mind, they're happening at the same time. These aren't separated stories. My Time in Portia and My Time at Sandrock, it's a sequel insofar as we're making it afterwards. But most of the events happen parallel. So the Logan posters here, you might notice, are pretty different to the ones that you see in Sandrock, right? So this is because the ones in Sandrock are drawn by Unsure, who is a very talented artist. However, Unsure was not available the day that Justice was sending the posters to Portia. So Justice had to draw them himself. And so the posters that you see in Portia, these are unfortunately drawn by Justice. And he is not quite as good of an artist as Unsure is.
He's a wonderful artist in his own right.
Yeah, he gets the feeling of the character. He gets the...
Yeah. Got the concept. He's got shading understood. Like, he's doing good. He's a solid...
Yeah, he's got one eye.
A- art student.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what Logan looks like behind the mask. I'm joking.
Are we going to see? Oh, gosh.
I'm not going to tell.
I was so excited.
I'm not going to tell you anything. There's nothing that I can say about Logan's face, except that he may or may not look like that poster. Right. And then we've got Logan's...
I do have... Oh,
sorry.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. I was just talking about Logan's goat, which is, as I said earlier, one of my favourite changes that we've done. Is that originally when we'd released the early access, Logan had a horse. And we changed it to Logan's goat, which I just love. I think he looks cool and steampunk. And, yeah.
That's what I was going to say. I love the steampunk element. Absolutely.
And it's going to have a bit more of a role to play in the update too.
So exciting. Now, I do have a question that I don't know if you can answer. Information on Logan on this update. Are we going to get a lot of information that people are waiting for? Or is it just going to...
Interesting. There's going to be a good amount of information. This propels the story forward quite a lot. People are going to be satisfied with the amount of information they're going to be receiving this update. I'm not going to say anything more than that. I want people to be able to experience it themselves, and I don't want to give away kind of like how we're presenting this information. But yeah, there's a good amount of information in this update, and it's a compelling piece of narrative.
Wonderful. So I do quickly want to ask you if there is anything else that you would like to share with us, if there's anything else that we might be able to see, or any other last thoughts that you may have in regards to this update.
No, I just kind of really hope everyone enjoys it. I really want everyone to really engage in this update. I want people to